Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Empathy with M. I am so beyond excited today because I've had such beautiful people, agree to do this with me that I've worked with creatively. And this one's really special to me because she has done all of the artworks for the album M, which right in the back here that I use as my backdrop for Empathy with M. You, Yourself, and I. This song was from You, Yourself, and I. And I decided to combine tarot with music just to explain the spiritual lessons that went on to create these songs, because even the most simple lyrics have so much depth and so much meaning to them, at least my music, and I know a lot of songwriters, and me and Lisbeth always talk about the divinity behind it. So, like, even though we have our own meanings that we attach to it in our personal experience in our life, there's so much deeper meaning for these songs to come out because she's here. Lisbeth is here. But there's so much more meaning that comes out for these songs and for, art in general. I feel that angels and the divine always have a deeper purpose and deeper messages for people to hear and heal from. So without further ado, let's get Lisbeth on. Hey! You
Hello.
made it!
I did. It's so good to see you in person. I've not really.
Yeah. I know! Oh man, and now hopefully the connection gets back. Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh my god, I hope your Wi-Fi's good, that it'll keep working. Um,
Hopefully it is. I've actually got it over mobile data too, so it should be
okay.
fine. Oh,
Okay. I know, it's funny because we've had, like, for people out there, we've had hours and hours of conversation, and yeah, we
yeah,
don't like
no,
face, but
no.
that's what I wanted to say because it's like, I mean, I wanted to introduce you. I mean, you're known for the Divine Feminine Oracle deck, which I even had no idea when I reached out to you. Like, I mean, I know that's how the world perceives things, but to me, like, I think each of your creations is not one to me, the way I observe it, not one to me is better than the next. Like, I mean, better or worse. Like, I'm saying, like, they're all unique and special. Like, I don't ever look at your works and think, oh wow, yeah, she was better with that one. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, that's just me. That's me because I'm personally a big
Hopefully.
fan of your stuff. So it's like,
Thank you.
I mean, obviously we have our opinions of it. I have my opinions of my songs and stuff. But when I reached out
Yeah.
to you, like, that's what I want to tell people. Like, this is like, I was throwing paint against the wall because I was like, I hope she answers. I even texted you because I remember you had your number. I was like, oh my God, this might be a little too, like, personal, but I really want to know because I saw your work and it really pulled to me. And I didn't have to do it, but I really wanted to do artwork for my songs. And I was just like, I really want to combine it with the tarot. That was just in my heart and my mind. And I feel like God gives me visions in that way to, like, go forth with that, like, here, like, plants these seeds in my mind so then I act on them. And I'm so happy I did because I reached out to you and you answered and you were like, yeah. And then I come to find out that you're very selective with the projects that you pick.
That's
So
true.
I just wanted to go into that and, like, what made you, feel that back, because I even talked about that, like, the first day that we were supposed to have our call. I was so excited for it, like, even without talking to you yet.
Well, and at the time, if you'll remember, I was in the process of actually moving, and I had gotten
Yes.
so sick with COVID. What I now know was COVID. At the
Mm-hmm.
time, it was just whatever that was. So,
No way.
I mean, I would say that on any other day, at any other time, it would have been such a hard no. But I think the thing was, it was your spirit and then listening to the music. And, you know, I call this golden sparkles, which is just so, airy fairy, but I honestly mean in a very deep way that there are projects that have landed on my plate, and then things in my life, cities I've been to, people where the air just seemed to kind of emanate with this golden sparkles. That's the only way I can really explain it. And I felt that when I had listened to your music, and I think that was the thing that made me stop and go, I really need to look deeper into this before I give a no.
Mhm.
And so then I think at that point you had texted me and I said, you know what, let's have a call. And I knew within like a minute that it was a yes. And I think there again, that's a spiritual guiding that you really, when you know that that is what you're supposed to do, then everything else has to just sort of take a back seat so you can go in that direction. And I wasn't wrong. I mean, every single step of the way through every, and it was craziness. It was, I was so sick at the time. And I remember at one point I texted you and I said, but the thing is, you get that sort of out of body thing going on when you're really sick. And I had that, but I think that really like it left my ego behind and allowed me to go into this whole other realm with your music and then with the creation of it to where, I mean, the art just happened better than I really could have even hoped for given everything that was going on. So it was like my best day's art in the absolute worst the worst time, but it was wonderful and it was a gift and a joy, and I'm still so proud of everything that we did together.
Me too, because I wanted to tell people about that as best as we can. I mean, it's hard for me to even talk about songs after they're done, but in people for like, to understand like about your process and how it worked and just like our process, how we created and what you connected with the most on the M project.
You know, um, it's hard to say. I think what you said earlier is true, that it's really hard to pick one thing because you have this love for them all. But
Yeah.
I do remember, that Blue Light, it wasn't that Blue Light was my favorite song, but it was that I definitely had this spiritual sort of vision that was going on when I was listening to that. And I know that you and I talked about this, but, and I'd even asked you about it. And, you can tell the story of what you told me, but,
Yeah.
the thing that was so strange about it was that Blue Light itself hadn't really been something thematic that you had written the song around. It kind of just happened.
Hmm.
But I saw that, this blue light was sort of a representation of something spiritually that had always been guiding you, a sort of north, if you will. And in fact, I put that in, if not every single one of the
Wanted to include
pictures
that.
that I did for you. Yeah. There's always like the blue light. And I'd go, the blue light, it's going to follow you through your life and it's going to be so important. And so I think that song probably for the first album was the one that really jumped out at me from an artistic perspective. But then Grace, I mean, is one of the songs on the Aetheria that
Hmm.
just really just went into my core, and everything with Aetheria because it's really you coming deeper into your own spirituality in that sense
Hmm.
in a different way. And I mean, I had that on while I was doing the Aetheria uh, portrait that we did, and it was just crazy amazing. There were sometimes I would just stop and I didn't even really know what song it was that was playing at the time,
Right.
but I just went, oh my gosh, this is just incredible music for, and I hate to say for someone so young because I am a real anti-age person.
Right.
I think,
Well,
hey, it doesn't matter how old, how young, are you viable? Are you creating? And
right.
if you're not, then why not? But I mean, truly, I would be so taken aback by a lyric or an arrangement, and and I'd have to just stop and go, my gosh, she's got so many years, of creating and wisdom to come upon her. And here she is creating that now. And it was just really inspirational for me too.
No, thank you. Because I wanted to tell people that too. It's that you were in music too, as well.
Yeah.
And your inspirations for music too, you know?
Um, Actually, it's funny. I started out my whole path in.
Oh, man. Oh, I hope it gets back, guys. Because okay, it just cut out and came back. All right. Yeah.
Did I cut out for you
No,
too?
it cut out with the music.
Yeah, it's cutting out again too. Okay, because I don't know whether I should stop or continue on.
No, you could continue. You're fine. Go.
Okay. I did actually start out in music. I started playing guitar when I was, I think 14 or 15.
14 or 15. I'll continue this story. No, I'm joking. I wonder if there's like a way for this Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's cutting out.
I know. I can't tell if it's just you cutting out or it's me.
No, it's you. I think
it's me.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Let me check something real quick.
Okay.
Okay, I do have both my Wi-Fi and my mobile data running, which what that does is it gives me, if one fails, the other is supposed to pick it up, but I am in the mountains.
Okay, so that's true. I know that feeling. Woodstock. And
we've got storms going on today.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna try our best. We're gonna get through it. But 14 or 15, I'll continue the story. I'll just start speaking on Lisbeth's behalf. Lisbeth was a big fan of Stevie Nicks. I'm giving things away. I gave things away. I was like, you're a big fan of Stevie Nicks.
I know. Talking, it just goes whoop.
All right, we're good. Wonder why. It does. Okay.
There you are. Hello.
14 or 15 with guitar.
Yeah, and basically, that was all I wanted to do with my life for sure.
Wow.
And so I really just had a complete, and that is all that I did with my life probably for, 10 or 15 years. And I was in and out of bands, and we went on the road, and, that was how I actually met my husband. Mm-hmm. And because he was a guitar player, and he's fantastic. And you know how that goes. If you find someone.
I know how it goes being musicians. I went through that phase. Anybody who's an artist knows what that feels like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Snap them up, man, if you can. But because then you've always got the guitar player, and that's like a thing. It really is. So
no, and writing songs, it's a cosmic different connection.
Yeah,
it's really, really different when you have a musical.
Oh, it's so totally is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I still do music, I still play. Right now my nails are long, so if my nails are long, I haven't been playing. But, then I'll just cut them down and go, okay, I can't take this anymore. But I've been able to channel so much into art, in the last few years that, music has always been the escape for me. Not the escape really, but the sublimation process of, taking emotions and feelings and putting it into something. And that's really been art for the last 10 years. So, but yeah. So it was a great ride while I was, having it. And then I moved into writing, and then I did that for over 20 years, and then found my way back into art, which was kind of the first thing I did. Now, let me ask you a question. Are you that way too? Do you involve yourself in art and writing? And of course, you write lyrics. So, I mean, that's a part of it too.
No, but
But do you
because
feel,
like my friends like that, like with you, because I'm like I used to think, oh my God, how could she do anything besides art? But I'm like, no, you speak like a writer. Makes complete sense. And music, and I knew you're a musical too. You talk about Stevie Nicks, but with me, I have to say I am a writer. Like I know that I'm a writer. I can just write. I think any day, like even if I'm like typing up these things, because recently my mind's always about my music and like where to send my music to and stuff. So even when I'm writing up things to people or I'm writing emails, I can just I feel God gave me that gift to be able to just write. I can write from my heart. Like that's like a
yeah,
very, I don't know, it just crossed that way. Like even I used to laugh, my family friend used to be like, oh my God, those text messages. Like I could, if somebody like pissed me off or something, like I will go off. She's like, I can't believe it. Cause she was I think she was an English teacher. So she helped with writing too. She's like, oh my God, this text. But I'd laugh because yes, I think for sure I'm a writer through and through. So like even
yeah,
music is the medium to channel it. But I even remember in school, I would write pages and pages, and it was like one question. And somebody I remember next to me was like, "How do you do that?" And it just came naturally. It's somebody that's like who's good at math, like, and it comes to them. That writing was always something. I say supernatural because it really would come. I know from the divine, like the divine was channeling through me, and I'm able to write very quick, very fast. That's why it was shocking too with this project in Woodstock. I mean, granted, it was very hard to work with my producer. I don't know, like I feel it didn't flow as well, but I'm used to writing so much. Like I was very like nervous and hesitant and fearful, and I had to like break those blocks. It was finally at the end with Blue Light and Grace too, I think, but that was earlier. But Blue Light, I flowed through because I was like by myself, be
yeah,
able to flow. But like the way I flow with you, usually I feel like in writing I have the ability to. But it was very weird with this project. Sometimes it was like pulling teeth, and it was weird for me because I'm very fluidist. I'm very like I feel like I can write a lot, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Where, what do you think is the biggest thing, that's the biggest inspiration to you when you're writing? I mean, where are you drawing all of this from? Because some of the things you write about do really seem, so far um, beyond your years, even sometimes. I think, well, it's another lifetime,
Yeah.
obviously, that she's pulling from. But where do you feel personally that that's coming from?
No, because they're
You,
definitely,
something beyond you?
because we know that we're old souls, like there's souls. That's why like with age and stuff, sometimes like you don't know what lifetime somebody's on and what I think of. I know I was always an old soul, but I'm laughing at you because not you, but just myself because Blue Light. I can tell people with Blue Light. I was like, oh no, I need to write I'm on the seventh song, guys, and I call up people from my past because I'm just in a very confused, lost state, and I call them up. Not the people I should be calling up, mind you.
Sure.
Uh, never is.
I understand that completely.
Opposite reactions from past romantic relationships. So one's like, "Oh my God, I can't stop thinking about you." The other one's like, "I didn't." And that just sparked the creation of it was really Blame It on the Moonlight, but my producer said Blue Light, and like you said, I feel like probably angels in the room, even though we thought, oh, blue light, that's what the common conversation was in Woodstock, like that blue light from technology. But really, I think you're right, it was something way deeper than what we realized. But I was making a joke, like blame it on the blue light, like oops, like I shouldn't have called you.
I know. I remember you saying that and thinking that was just so far
From
from
I
what
know.
I saw, but then I thought for sure, your producer must have seen that same thing and just wasn't aware of it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we get those, glimpses of eternity or
Right,
spirituality from beyond in places where we least expect it.
right.
So, it's really interesting though how that came to be.
I know, because I mean, I did, because I was like playing, blue light was like playing out that scenario. in my head fully, and just, you know, that soul, it is a soul connection, like regardless of, like, even though it's not exactly what you want or you need in that time frame, you have this pull and you have this attraction to them, and you know you must have known them in other lifetimes, because it's so karmic and it's so cosmic. You don't know what's going on, why you're feeling such a pull like that.
Yeah.
But Grace was also about a similar person, but also just in situations in life. And I told you this, and I went to Paris. Beautiful, beautiful guy named Ian. He would host it at this castle, and he'd have a bunch of songwriters come, and just different people. And I couldn't believe the people, like, they became like family, like, in that quick time. I mean, I only was there for like a week. And the first day was like a strong connection with people. I talked with this one woman till 3 in the morning. I talked with another one till 9 in the morning. I mean,
Oh, wow.
and I was still getting through the anger and the hurt and the betrayal that I felt. And my friend, well, I say my friend, but she's Shelly. She was a beautiful person, and she's gone through so much in her life. And she held me pretty much and said, you need to forgive yourself. And I thought it was the other person, but she's like, no, you need to forgive yourself. And it like came over through me, and she's like, just grieve it, just mourn it, like just mourn the lost relationship, like it's gone. And I am the worst at letting things go. I'm like so going. I hope she could still hear me and still connected. We have like these amazing discussions, guys. I'm so happy you got to hear them. But did you hear that, or is it cutting off?
It cut off for just it cut off for just a bit,
Okay.
and I'm not really sure what it is. I am trying to hold my phone like really still, because I think it could be just
Meanwhile, cuts out. I'm like wondering why. Okay, we're good. Shelly basically just said forgive yourself, and um and then I talked with, I hope these people see it too, because I know that Lori always is on here and she'll look at my stuff. Lori was there. Oh, she'll come back. But so Lisbeth's asking me about just, you know, about my songs and how they get inspired. So Lori was another beautiful person. And, you know, she talked to me till 9 in the morning. And, you know, we were talking about grace because she had a ring, just like I have my ring here. My ring says truth. If you guys can see it. I don't know if that's truth. Well, my ring says truth, and Lori had one like identical that said grace. So I knew I had to write a song about that. And I came back home and I wrote a song about it, but I was with a different producer at the time, and I wrote it in such a different format. It was like, you can feel the way you feel by. And it's like, you can say you wanna change, doesn't mean you do. But if it's any consolation, I messed up today. Getting to my destination, but I'll be okay. It's like, Grace, she understands. Grace, she grabs my hands. So it's like very like singer songwriter folk. And I took it with my other producer. We were creating songs. He's like, just do songs that you've done before. And I'm like, what? Because I'm so used to, you know, getting a new thought, getting a fresh new idea, and just writing to it. So that was a new concept to me. And you know, so then we went with Grace. I did. And I just started, I don't even know. I can barely, it's like a little bit blurs together, but it was like You can feel the way you feel, but just don't marry it now. You're riding this roller coaster, and you're gonna come down, down, down. Elizabeth is coming back on that. Hopefully her Wi-Fi is better. Hey.
Hello. I just moved everything around, so I don't know if this is going to be any better or not, but we'll see. Crossing fingers.
Either way, we can do this, and then we could do a part 2. You know what I mean? And we'll just come back.
Great. That sounds great.
If you have the time. But I was just telling people how Grace came about, because it was like I talked with Lori till 9 in the morning. She'll probably see this. She always sees my stuff. And she had a ring that said Grace. I have my truth ring. And I just knew I had to write a song called Grace. And I told them, I went back home and I did Grace. And it was very like singer-songwriter folk. Like, it was totally different melody. And then when I went to Chris Young, which was the producer in Manhattan, plug if you guys want great music made. But, you know, he said to me, which was like a new concept to me, he was like, just use a song you've already written. And I'm like, huh? Like, it's like, it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, wait, I thought you'd just start fresh. Like, that was just always my thought. But I did it. And I always liked the line, and it was just like, you can feel the way you feel, but just don't marry it now. Like, that always,
yeah.
I'm very, very intense with my feelings, and I still believe they're real and they're raw, and I'm just passionate, but I know it's real. But it's like, you know, like the quote, like, never make permanent decisions on temporary emotions kind of thing. So it's like, you know, you could feel heartbroken and you could feel this way, but like, you don't know in time, like, you might think of them and be like, oh wow, I can't believe I cared that much, or you know what I mean, or anything in life. I mean, Grace is very open to when you're hurt by people, when you expect more of yourself and when you expect more of other people, and how you're let down. And that's why, like, the bridge is like, you're no pig, you're no snake, is saying like, you're not sneaky, you know, you're not greedy with people. So it hurts when you get taken advantage of by people, because you weren't going in with impure intentions, you know what I mean? You weren't trying to sneak and manipulate somebody. You were genuinely loving someone, or you were genuinely going in with, you know, pure intention. So it hurts more that way, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's saying like, Grace, like this angel, this like angelic presence here, she'll guide you home. She'll take you to where you need to go. Don't worry about these people. Don't worry about the circumstances. She'll take you past it. She'll elevate you past it and move you forward. And like, that's like really where it went. It wasn't always that big. And then when he did the Middle Eastern thing to it, I mean, it gave it such a feel. I mean,
I agree.
I producer as much as I credit just the music that I've written, or, you know, I can't even take credit, you know, that God's helped me write, because my producer, he had such a good ear for where it should go. I mean, like, for him to go there with it, I mean, that's awesome. Like, because that really made all the difference. I didn't have producers like that were that creative and that talented, that could just take my thought or my melody and enhance it and build like a soundtrack behind it. Like, he made it like it's like a movie to me. Like, I can feel each, like, you know, it's like it is like a roller coaster. You can feel it. Like, I don't know, the way
Yeah.
you compose.
Do you think, I mean, out of all the songs that you did on Aetheria, is that the one that for you has the strongest connection, or not most meaning, but yeah?
That's definitely the one that has the most to me on Pathway to Aetheria, yes.
Yeah.
For sure. Because the ones that you...
It's amazing.
They're my
Amazing
favorite.
Grace.
Amazing Grace. I know.
But it is. It really is.
But it was definitely divinity in that, because like, talking with Shelley and like, you know, her saying Grace, like, she said that, I forgot, she said that word grace, like, have grace, and just like give yourself grace, like the big thing to me that I took was like forgive yourself. Like I thought it was the other person. And I'm like, no, it was them. They were awful. They didn't treat me right. And I'm like, oh no, like it is. It's forgiving myself for being like naive the way I felt. Like I was naive. I was taken in. For being overly loving too fast, not letting somebody earn the love. That was a
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? There were just different things where I'm like, no. They didn't deserve all of this.
I definitely do. I mean, I think that's something that it's hard for us as women that's too because we have that natural
Yeah.
flow
Yeah.
of and empathy, and we love to love,
Yeah.
and it's really easy to just give yourself away
Mm,
too quickly,
yeah.
and to not hold back and to go, is this person really worth? I mean, it's not really about if a person's worth your love, every person is, but
Right.
giving so much of yourself before you've really allowed them to invest, you know, um, who they are and what their intention is and where they're at in their
Right.
thinking, is something that we all do, I think, as women. It's hard
Oh, yeah.
not to.
No, you
And
fall
grace,
and you think, yeah, what in grace?
grace for ourselves. Yeah. We
Yeah.
need that so much.
Yeah, I think people do, especially now. I think especially now. It's because like we're pointing fingers at other people and telling them how they should live or they should act, and it's very hard to do that, when you don't know, you don't walk. Like a big thing is like for me is you have to walk into somebody's soul and their heart. It's hard to know, like, because even I say things, I'm like, what am I talking about? Like if I'm talking about with my mom celebrity gossip, okay, we're talking about something so trivial like Kanye and Kim, and I'm like, what am I saying? Like, I know their lives. It's really wrong for me to even talk like that. Like, I don't know anything about them, anything. I'm
Yeah,
living their life. Like, it's not my business. Like, even, but my mom's like, well, they're in the public eye. I'm like, I don't care. That doesn't invite you into their personal life. Like, oh, I know she has her reality show and stuff. I'm not going to get into the whole Kardashian thing, but it's just like, I like to give people respect, and like you don't know what people really really go through. Like you don't know what they're feeling in their soul and their heart. You just don't. Like you don't know what people are experiencing. So it's very hard to speak on their behalf or.
that's true. That's true. And living in a celebrity culture where that is so in our face all the time, it's so easy to get pulled into someone else's life, which is, I think, what, really a lot of people do
Mhm.
now is they live vicariously through, uh, I don't want to say pop culture deities, but
No.
almost in a sense. I mean, it really is kind of that way where we're, we're doing more sitting and more observing and more shutting off our own flow in order to kind of, live that life through them. And as a result, less creativity,
Mhm.
less connection, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate, and then getting caught in the spirit about, I'm judging a person I have no clue, which I mean, we've all done that, but it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say I haven't or like haven't, and I feel like who am I? Who am I to even? Because I would not want somebody looking at me. Like that's a big thing too is to look back and say, would you want somebody doing this to you? And like you would, I wouldn't want somebody looking at my life and making judgments based on what they're like hearing and seeing on the surface. Like they don't know me. They don't.
No, we don't want that. None of us really want that,
I
you
don't know.
know.
Some people, I can't rule out everybody. There's some weird people out there. So. But
Well, and yeah, and you could argue that for a great many people, bad attention is still attention,
yeah, any
so
publicity is good publicity. Like when people say that. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
it's true. It's true. I
Right.
mean, there are YouTubers that probably Instagram people too, but
Right.
that make an entire living off being hated. And, so all bets are off in that scope.
I mean, with all the stuff that like now we're commenting on the culture, but with everything that's come out, I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
you know. But back to the
So,
art. Like,
no, I love this. I
I
love
know the
this.
commentary because if I bring it up, I'm like, I'll never stop. I'm like, I make a joke, like I make a joke that I'm on the Epstein case. I'm like, just got done a day of work with the Epstein case. I was obsessed with it because it was baffling, and it was really really heartbreaking that for so many years they weren't heard. I mean, that was a
I
mess.
know, I know. And it
Really,
is a terrible thing.
really sad. But I wanted to go back to, I'm looking at, because yeah, it's hard to explain the process to people, like, what our creative process was going into M, and for Pathway to Etheria, we knew each other by that point, and we kind of, I was nervous, like I have to tell people, I was like apprehensive to reach back out, because I was like, even though I feel connected to you, I feel like we're like soulmates, but I was like, oh my god, she just did 9 works of art, like, Emily, don't be greedy here. But I was like, I can't imagine, like, I had beautiful artwork done, but this is before I knew for sure if I was getting artwork done for Pathway to Etheria. And I'm like, I can't think of anybody better than Lisbeth. Like, I just think we have such a dynamic connection. Like, I mean, you can tell in this art. Like, I feel it's so
I know,
obvious.
I saw that back there. Is that the tapestry that you got?
Yeah, it's my tapestry that I think I'm gonna have to invest in
That
better.
photographs really well. It
I know, but
does. I
it's
mean, it
better.
makes,
I wish it was like better quality because it deserves it. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna do canvases like you showed me for all the artwork.
yeah, yeah. Canvases are really nice for
I
sure.
mean, I wanted to do like big canvases. Like, I'm picturing when I have my home, like, you, it'll just be all your art. It'll just be like walls,
You
like
are
in
too,
the hallways.
you are too sweet. Thank
I mean,
you.
I love it. You know I do. Like, and I just think you have something so special, like, because that's what I was telling people when I was looking for art. I was looking for spiritual art, like ethereal, otherworldly, and just to find this connection. And I used to think, oh, like online, but I'm like, no, I've really found a lot of my connections online, and I know especially now with
Oh,
the
absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I could, I could tell you that there's a part of me that's very anti-Luddite, so I resist, I don't want to say I resist technology. I worked, in technology for years,
right,
and I appreciate technology for sure, but it has removed us all so much from the source of what we are,
right,
and just continues to do so. It just chips away, with now we've got, YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and there's, the dynamic of it being really exciting right now because we're able to connect with and find our tribe.
oh, we were doing so well. But I have to say, Elizabeth is part of my tribe, so she's right. I love the little gem.
Hi.
Yeah,
I'm
I love the
sorry. I
gem.
really, um,
You
okay,
were
there
doing
you are. There
well.
you are.
You were.
Okay, wonderful. Well, anyway, I lost my entire train of thought. So it was
But
about
you find your
technology for
tribe.
sure. Yeah,
I
finding our
know. Because
tribe. And well, what you said earlier though about it being, like a way to find things that are really of worth. And it's so true. I mean, books, authors, artists, musicians, like, when I was a youngin', I mean, seriously, the only way to really, oh, sorry, I'm not, I had my phone
no,
on a mount, okay?
fine. You're
My
fine.
phone is not on a mount now because of the Wi-Fi, so sorry about moving it all around. But
No.
when I was young, the way that we found music was basically on the radio, and the way that you found an author was like, on this in the Sunday Parade or the New York Times section. I mean, it was really
Right.
difficult. You were not only just searching things out, but you didn't even know where to look. Now, I mean, you can Google anything you're interested in, and you can find people who think and feel the same way you do. So I really am glad that you did find my art, because that in turn allowed me to find your music, and I think it's wonderful that we live
Right.
in that age for sure, despite all of its other glaring, you know, uh,
But sometimes
problems. I
it can
think
be
that that's,
so much.
yeah,
Like sometimes it could be like the problem for like the music industry is that like they get inundated now. Now it's everywhere. Now it's like
it's
you really
changed.
have to fight to stand out. And
Yeah,
I mean, I don't really fight. I'm just who I am, and I feel that will bring things. But like I know people get like, and it can be a little frustrating because you're like, oh my goodness, like am I gonna be seen? But really, it's you just have to be yourself, and like what you said, which I loved, because sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, um, managing everything, and you're like, just if you do what you love, and like that's how I did singing. That's how I always stayed with singing, because you're like, if you're just doing what you love, it'll come. And you're right. And I keep that in the back of my mind. Like, I just love that, because that's whenever my dad would tell me, you should go to college or you should think about it. Like, I'm like, I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. Like, whether,
yeah.
it is the arts. It's always going to be the arts. And I don't think there's anything wrong. Everybody can make their living, their own ways. But, it's just,
And it's also, but I think too, I mean, there's a very real aspect of things that, you're not necessarily going to be beholden upon a producer or a music company to find your tribe and your following.
right,
That could very easily, and it is happening just by virtue of the fact that you're out there with your music on Spotify. And,
right,
and regardless, there are so many people that have made it without having that contract in hand,
right,
which is another wonderful thing about the
right.
time that we live in.
That's true.
You know,
Yeah,
you really can just make it yourself, and not have to try to take those old roads. It's not, and I don't mean that with just regards to music, writing, art, everything.
right,
There are so many people who have really come into their own by, a blog or,
right.
yeah, which is really exciting when you think about that too.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I wanted to see, oh, this is a big thing. I wanted you to tell people about the meaning behind She Who Is. Because, I call you Lisbeth. You go by She Who Is. So I wanted you
Yeah,
to tell people that.
it was a name that was actually given to me, and that I carried around in my heart for years and years and years. But when I decided to do art, the one thing that I did not want to happen was, it was really important to me that the art came first
Mhm.
and not the personality. And, I just, I felt that it was, at the time that I started creating the art that I create, it was so powerful in me that this was something that was really truly special, and something divine. And because I wanted that to speak for itself, I didn't want to throw my name out there with it. So, and She Who is, is also, it's the, the essence of the feminine aspect of the Godhead too. And it's also, I mean, in the thousand names of Kalima, you'll find, she who is fierce, she who is mother, she who is the great destroyer, she who is. So it's sort of three words that encapsulate all of us as women, that present who and what the divine feminine aspect of God is. It can really be anything, and everything, because I think it requires a sort of co-creative understanding of that term. And so that was perfect too. So that basically, when I first started doing anything, I just stuck it under She Who Is. And now, I don't regret that. I know that it's a terrible idea for branding.
What?
So I've been told, that, this is you got to get rid of that. Keep your name out there. But my name is long,
Huh.
and I don't even like writing my name. So
No, I don't think it's a terrible idea at all. I think it's like
No.
an artist name. It's not.
Well, okay, terrible in as much as when people try to find my art,
Hmm.
they might remember She Who Is, but that is those are three very common words.
Mm,
And
okay.
there's also a book out there, a very, very, very good book about feminine theology that
Hmm.
I did not know
Yeah.
that was out there at the time. But it makes it difficult for people to find me if that's all they know,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And so yeah, in retrospect, maybe I could have done that better, but I don't regret it, and I don't want to go back and do it different. And I have never changed, that from the original. I've just made everybody incorporate it. So, on my Oracle decks, I say
Right.
now you got to point people to She Who Is, so they know. And really more it's She Who Is art now than just She Who Is. But yeah, that's
I
how that came about.
I love it, and we talk about that too with like the divine feminine and just how we like it to be. I guess like our versions of it. We talk about like how loving the woman and loving the aspects of woman, um, whether it's like sensuality, um, owning like who you are as a woman. Um, is like basically what we're talking about, not being ashamed of the aspects, because we I think we are um, very much conditioned to feel ashamed of different aspects of being a woman. Um, just that the way society is. Did you catch that? What I'm saying? I was saying like we were conditioned kind of just to be ashamed of certain aspects of who we are as women, and just appreciating the divinity and the sensuality in being a woman is like the big part of it, and owning that.
Is that a question?
I'm saying like we talk about it. Like I wanted to share it with people that we talk about what we think women
Oh, about the
are,
femininity. Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah. Well, I definitely,
yeah, you
no, I think, and that's the wonderful thing about us, I do think we're on the same page with that about how we relate to our being women is in a very feminine fashion. And I think, and when, not just feminine, frilly feminine, but understanding like positionally the relationship of the feminine to the world. So understanding yin and yang and the principles of yin and yang, being there is an active, dynamic masculine principle, and then there is a passive, feminine principle that is, subdued, that is, water, that is stillness, and, that both are so necessary in our world, for all aspects of creation and everything that exists, frankly. And that we both, see and fit very strongly within that, because I do think right now, there's, as much as there's a rise of the divine feminine,
Mhm.
there's a war against the masculine, which I don't
Yeah,
agree with. I
neither.
do, I do, yeah, I
That was the
agree
big
with
thing that I wanted to share.
destroy the patriarchal construct, because that that's a a did you just hear my bell?
No,
I have a I have a consciousness bell. I'm sorry if it was so loud.
no.
Um, it's really cool, but it's very loud. But no, I mean, I think we need to destroy the patriarchal construct, but at the same time, we need to really recognize that there's a war against masculinity going on. That I don't think it behooves us to get involved at that level with that, because we're talking about a war against people.
Yeah,
I mean, which is what it is.
and also the thing is, men and women were designed to coexist and co-create.
Yeah.
So when we're getting angry and we're not listening to them and how they've been shamed or repressed because they have been in different ways, um, then we're expecting them to just do it back to us, but we can trample over them. Like it's just like an eye for an eye kind of mentality, and it's not beneficial in mending. It's not beneficial in blending. Like, because I think men and women blend very beautifully together. Like when they are at their most sacred and their most high, like Because I have to say too, it's just like when we were talking about dating musicians, and I have dated, and when we're in our divinity, which is like songwriting, I really feel like that's a very high vibration when you're writing songs. It's almost like another world. You can blend, and like the souls can blend, and I've seen it and I've felt it, and to me that was like divine feminine and divine masculine working together, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is. I mean, in both, you really just aren't going to have any kind of balance. Well, you're not going to have creation without both, you
Right.
know, but you're not going to have any kind of balance in your own life, if you're entirely masculine or entirely feminine. I mean, you have to have both in this world,
Right.
in order to, to have creation thrive. So, but yeah, I do agree, it's just as important to listen to what men are saying right now as it is, everyone else. There's a lot of pain in the world. I know that.
Yeah.
And, let us make it and I think you and I are both in this same place. We create music and art, because we are, from that healing perspective, of wanting all creatures to be in love and in beauty and, having a good.
Oh man, I'm hoping it gets back, guys.
There you are.
All right, good. I was like worried. But you had such a good train of thought, and it was like really, ugh, I loved it.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was great just to share that because I know you feel the same way and I know it's challenging. We live in we live, as someone there are two distinctive curse blessings. And one of them, I don't remember both of them, but I remember one is may you live in interesting times,
Mm,
which, we do. It sounds like a blessing, but, interesting, there's a lot that rides on that word. And this has definitely been a very interesting year, to say the least.
but like even I wanted to circle back to it, like pathway to Etheria, because I remember you even asking me what do I think it's about, and to me it's coming back to your divinity, remembering your divinity, and I didn't realize the timing of it is really a perfect time with what is going on because that's what it's about. And I think people forget their divinity and that God's a part of their life if they ask, and angels can guide you. It's just some people choose to ignore it and go other ways in life. That's the
Yeah,
way I view it, at least.
yeah. We live in a lost age, I think for sure. I think we live in a seeking age
Mm-hmm.
too. But I think that there's a lot of lostness
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of confusion because I think, a lot of people have dropped the dogma of religion, and seeing that as religion is a corporation, it has no life in it. I mean, so there's an understanding of that, that a lot of what's happened with religion has just robbed the spirituality completely from God. I mean, you can't go in a church and sit in a pew and listen to somebody every week and that's your spirit, that's the sum totality of your spirituality. I mean, that is, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, I think that was still a norm. But I think now people need to be, and they know they need something more in their life than just simply being directed for an hour a week. And
Right.
so I think you've seen a lot of people fall away from religion, but at the same time, there hasn't really been a great revelation, to replace it. So we have a lot of lost and wandering souls that, are really hungry spiritually and they're just not sure where to turn or how to find that.
I know it's so interesting because to me I always felt God is anywhere. So you don't have to go. I mean, I know there are more sacred spots because you feel it energetically, and I've never been to Israel, but I've heard it's very like just high energetically, and just because of the things that have happened and occurred there and just different places in the world. um but like to me, I talk with God almost every day. I mean, I pray
Yeah.
before I do things. You know what I mean? Like even this, like I pray to be fluid, to have a beautiful conversation. I pray before I submit my music, let your will be done. You know what I mean? I pray for
Absolutely.
guidance. I pray to open my eyes and my heart, because there might be things I'm missing and not seeing. I don't know everything. I'm a human being. You know what I mean? So I need help. I need guidance, and just humbling yourself and asking for that help um, is important. I think for people to humble themselves is really big, because sometimes like I go through it too, and I'm just frustrated and I'm fearful or I'm anxious and I'm not trusting. I'm not having faith. You know what I mean? Anytime you're lacking faith, I think call on God. You know?
Yeah, I think faith is a big one right now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you've got, I mean, the world is, I've never felt like the world was closer to apocalyptic times. And I've really mostly brushed that off.
And we put
And
the New Jerusalem in Pathway to Aetheria because we're like,
yeah,
wow,
exactly,
God.
exactly.
But you
Which, I mean, yeah, which I did think, and we talked about that, Aetheria being that representation, of, I mean, you could, I mean, all of the religions have an aspect of that, whether it's Shangri-La or Utopia,
mhm.
there's always this aspect of this, you know, um, this afterlife that, it is something, heaven, I guess you could even say, is kind of Etheria. But New Jerusalem was really the thing that kind of came to the forefront of this perfected sort of model of, where believers gather that could be, every bit Etheria in that same thing, which resonated with you as well, which I thought that was really wonderful.
Yeah, because I felt this is actually that timing. I think like for just what's going on. Um, I felt, you get your visions for a reason, just like I get my melodies and words for songs. You know,
Yeah,
you see,
yeah.
like that's what I wanted to get into too. And I wonder, I don't know if you have time to do a little bit of a part two. We don't have to go in the full thing,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
okay.
We should do a part two for sure because now, this is the first IG Live I've done, and so I
Oh,
did not direct enough people on how to do it, and a lot of my Facebook people don't really do Instagram, and
right,
so
right.
I did not know my inbox was filled with where do I go, and I'm like, oh, that's a good question.
Oh,
So,
I know. I was
so
like, why don't they just go to my
part
page
two.
or yours, your page too, because you get followers too that get notified. So it works.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this was wonderful. I would love to do this with you again too, but I don't know how much time we have left. But do continue on with whatever you were saying.
Yeah, no, I was saying, I'm trying to think of what, if we were getting into Pathway to Etheria, and oh, just the way that you get your visions, because I just want to talk as much as we can, explain it to people, just your creative process, and how it worked, and with both projects.
Well, okay, so the thing that's interesting to me is being a musician
Hmm.
and a writer and an artist. So I've had three different mediums that I've worked in, and they all three are the same. In as much as whatever it is, it's beyond me. I mean, it just is. I know that. Like, I've come up with tunes, and of course, I'm sitting there and I'm playing the guitar, and if something occurs to me, and I follow it through, and you can argue that's me that's doing the writing, but I am telling you, I mean, I have felt the presence of something moving through me,
Yeah, yeah,
guiding me
yep,
into that space, and I
exactly.
go, oh, that was totally not me.
Exactly.
So both are plausible, but I'm always trying to surrender, my own ego and my own expectation to what, the divine wants to flow through me. And so a lot of times when I start a piece, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I mean, sometimes, I do sit down and I have a rough idea, but a lot of times it's really, I just go with the flow of what feels right. And it's almost like looking in the periphery, like the way you see fairies, they say, that you can't look head on and see a fairy. You've got to go in nature and you've got to let your eye dissolve and see the periphery of it, and you'll see all kinds of creatures, which
Wait,
by the way is true.
I don't want to cut you off, Lisbeth, because there's like
Yeah.
30 seconds remaining, but I want everybody to know.
Okay, okay.
No, but I want
Part
everybody
two.
to know that we're going on part 2 live again, so join us because we're going to be talking about the process, and this is very fascinating and interesting. And Lisbeth always does it in like the most colorful language, so I love it because she's already talking about fairies. So join us. We're on part 2, round 2. Here we go. All right.
Love you, Em.
Love you too.